What's up, Flick fans? Welcome back to the channel. Love Lies Bleeding is the brand new A24 movie. I really like the cast. The trailer was great. Does it live up to the hype? Let's do it.
You talked to your dad recently?
Why?
So Reclusive gym manager falls for Jackie, an ambitious bodybuilder heading through town, but their love ignites violence, pulling them deep into the web of Lou's criminal family. This stars Kristen Stewart, Katy O'Brian, and is directed by Rose Glass. This is rated R for violence, grisly images, sexual content, nudity, language, and drug use. Let's start with director Rose Glass, who directed Saint Maud, another A24 film with a darkness to it and a grittiness that definitely carries over into this film, but there are nuances in that movie that were very distinct from other horror movies that year. I liked it, didn't love it, was very excited for this. Kristen Stewart plays, like the summary says, a reclusive gym owner who is, well, her family is caught up in a lot, and the first time we see her kind of describes what the movie feels like, and I don't mean this as a bad thing. She's arm deep in a pile of
Language.
Jenna Malone's in the family. Ed Harris plays her dad brilliantly, by the way. The wig is spectacular, but her entire family is caught up in a world of, it's not a good world to be in. And there's so many things going on in her life that's just pushing her in a direction of anger and rage, and she's had enough by the time we see her. But once she falls in love with Jackie, who's an incredible character, we'll talk about her in just a second, but it takes her emotions and it pushes them to a level to where we don't know if she can come back from that or not. And Jackie, she is angry and pushed to the edge in a completely different way, but she kind of takes on the burdens of her newfound lover at the beginning of this movie, and it sends them on a path of, like the summary said, rage and violence. And oh boy, it's a revenge tale that takes all that Rose Glass did really well in Saint Maud and transfers it over to a different genre. But like I said, it maintains that grittiness. It's definitely a noir with these fascinating and distinct visual cues on display that allow it to stand out from other movies in the genre. By the way, I do want to mention that Dave Franco is in this film. And when I first saw him, I'm like, that kind of sounds like Dave. Oh my God.
Holy fish paste!
That's Dave Franco. And he's really good. But his role that he's serving, it kind of sets the tone and sets the stage for what this movie ultimately is. It's a tale of revenge, and then it's a tale of trying to keep the emotions that have been building up throughout your entire life because of everything going on with her family, keeping that in check. And once you get to that point to where you can't do it anymore, that's when our two characters take things a little overboard and sets them out on this journey that is so distinct, but at the same time, it's a familiar journey. It's a story and premise that we've seen before, but it's handled in such a distinct way in this film that I believe it allows it to stand out from the crowd. And Rose Glass's touch is just, I mean, it's the cherry on top. And that's why I'm starting with the positives. There are some things about Love Lies Bleeding that did not allow it to live up to its true potential, because as we were getting into what this was at the beginning, I'm sitting back thinking, all right, it's another like really special, on edge, anxiety-filled thriller like an Uncut Gems, but very different. You know, like everybody says, A24 is just the studio. Rose Glass, she is what allows this to stand out. The soundtrack mixed with the score, which is just incredible. Those very retro vibes to it, but keeping the pacing going all the way through. I mean, even if you're not in love with what's going on within the story, the pacing is going to kind of keep you in it throughout. Just on a technical level as a whole, that was more appealing to me than the story. Even the editing and the sound design, the way that it flows. I almost describe it like what's punching you in the face with the sound design as you're going, as well as a story that is going to test a lot of people's patience, as in there are so many things happening with our main two characters that we aren't immediately rewarded by, and also what they continue to get themselves into as it goes. That anxiety-filled rush of adrenaline that you get, it's almost to a level of, why are you doing this? Like, I understand, and the time period that it's set in with the steroids and drugs in general, and the way that they put that on display as we get further into the film, a decision that they make at the end that I wasn't completely on board with. I guess that's where I can kind of lean into my negatives a little bit. The ending, they go for something, they do something here that I still don't know if I loved it. If you've seen Saint Maud, You know what Rose Glass does with her endings. The final shot of that film, the final sequence in this movie, both of them riveting in their own distinct ways, but also divisive. And where I really love the final shot of Saint Maud, I don't know if I loved what happened at the end of this movie, because it's a decision that, you know, it's so outlandish and out there, and I really respect why they made the decision, but I don't know if I responded to it. It kind of ended with a whimper, whereas we're building all the way through, and you could cut the tension with a knife at one point, which is really awesome. It's that late 80s, early 90s feeling while you're watching with these very distinct visuals. So that mix was almost nostalgic. Even though I wasn't born in the 80s, it's still nostalgic for me. So that's when you know a movie can capture that, if you're not even aware of what the nostalgia is supposed to be, but you still feel it. It's pretty cool.
Hey, that's pretty good.
But here's the thing. There's so much going on in this movie and a lot of things that they're trying to balance. The ideas and the themes of love, lying to each other. It's a crime story. It's a revenge thriller. There are drugs involved. You set in the time period that you're trying to allow us to be in the shoes of our characters, or at least one of them, as the other one's going around making crazy decisions. But those scenes where they're showcasing their love for each other, you really feel that. Although there are other points in the movie where there are decisions made, and I don't know if it fell in line with what they set up earlier on in the film. And so I was really wanting more from that side of the story, as well as the ending, the way it wraps up and the significance of that, but not being completely on board on a thematic side to where I couldn't latch on with what they were trying to do. And, you know, by the time they fully commit to that decision and you get to that final scene, the credits hit, you're kind of like, okay, well, that was, and by the way, the credits, the way that they're rolling while some things are happening in the background, that was really cool. But I wasn't in love with how it went out as a whole. And so you have a movie that feels so fresh, a relationship between Lou and Jackie that is so up and down, back and forth, but you love the way that is handled, but so many themes and so many ideas at play as we're going. It made it hard to keep up with everything they were throwing at us, even though the vibes were there throughout the entire film. And I talked about, well, Kristen Stewart's character, the performance itself, is really great. This is the type of role that she thrives in, a character that's kind of going through it and you're having to keep up with her emotionally. And then Katy O'Brian as Jackie, oh my God, just the workout scenes, I'm like, she is incredible. She looks incredible. It's really impressive. She's done a lot of action stuff before, but this is the first time we've gotten to fully see her commit to a character like this. She was amazing, and their relationship, that is what keeps the movie going. It's the heart and the soul, obviously, but all of this other stuff happening in the background, it's a lot to keep up with. Can I forgive some of the mistakes made throughout the film that made it feel tonally up and down? Yes. Can I forgive the ending that I just couldn't connect or fully respond to? Not necessarily. That's a reason why I'm knocking it down. But prior to that, this was a really cool experience. I'm excited for you all to see it in the theater. Let me know down below. Did you like Saint Maud? Are you seeing this on the big screen? And if you enjoyed this review and you want to drop a like, hey, that'd be cool. There's an incredible amount of craft on display in Love Lies Bleeding. The energy that Rose Glass injects directly into this gritty noir makes for an exhilarating story that occasionally tries to do too much. The ending doesn't fully come together, but the journey builds plenty of suspense. Stewart and O'Brian are fantastic. So, one of the better films that I've seen this year. Again, it's not been a strong year other than Dune Part 2, but I would definitely put this up there. I'm curious to see what A24 has down the line, and if anything can pass Dune Part 2, that's not looking great. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more reviews, and check out the ones on my channel.